Okay. Hello, friends and family. My name is Tyler Swear. I'm currently an expatriate living in South Korea and have been for the last 3 years. As you can imagine by the title of this video and by the fact that I'm wearing a mask, I'm going to be talking about the coronavirus and referring to it as COVID-19 from this point on. I'm also using a script to keep things on point and to get across the most important findings, details, and advice that I can offer. So, to address something obvious, yes, I am wearing a mask. Do I need to wear a mask indoors in my own home? No. It is not necessary. However, I want to set a precedent by using what this mask represents: safety. Something I will talk about at the end of the video. I'm also here to talk about the current situation happening here in South Korea. Update you on the current statuses around the world as well, and talk about some issues that I've been noticing going on in the United States. So, here is the basic summary of what is happening here in Korea. About 10 days ago, about 1 month and 10 days ago, we had our first case of COVID-19. About 2 or 3 weeks later, we reached the number of about 28 cases. After the 20th victim, things began to actually stabilize. We had no new cases and the virus for about 5 days from that point. That was until a pastor from a religious group called Shincheonji went to China for a funeral and came back with the virus. Somehow, the pastor passed on the virus onto a woman at the church, who then later passed the virus on to an estimated 15 people. Since this happening, the outbreak has occurred and the number of infected people has skyrocketed South Korea to be the most infected country behind China. As of writing this script, the numbers of infected are currently over 2,000, with the deceased reaching about 13. And don't show any signs of stopping anytime soon. Schools have been postponed from starting their new school year. Koreans have a little bit of a different system. Their school year starts in the wintertime. Academies such as my own have been shut down due to the outbreak. For me, in my case, it's been about 5 days since I've been to work. Currently, I have personally been held up in my own apartment for at least 4 days, only going out seldomly to take care of responsibilities. Daily life has definitely changed as well. Typical busy areas aren't ghost towns, but it has a significant drop in numbers. People still go out and when they go out when they want, but if the numbers of infected rises anymore, my guess is that the cities are going to become very quiet and they're not going to see many people. What is happening here should be a warning to the rest of the world of what is possible with this very infectious virus. Okay. Around the world, numbers continue to also rise, making the situation a pandemic. That is what the situation is, a pandemic across the world. Excuse me. We have many places going on. So if some of you read on my Facebook, as you know, the numbers coming out of China cannot necessarily be trusted. If you did not read that post, here are some of the things that I will let you know. China has had several opportunities to handle the situation, but unfortunately, their systems of power incentivize their leaders to only react to situations in the hope of maintaining a good image. Sometimes this works. Sometimes. The problem is that it didn't work this time, and now they have a very big problem. However, in this case, this is basically let the coronavirus thrive. Many more cases have been reported below. So basically, everything going on in China is not true. I've kind of lost myself here. Sorry about that. I found that last month, Wuhan, the epicenter of the virus, at an early stage was running out of hospital beds. Now, the reason I'm talking about Wuhan is because the reason why we can't necessarily trust the numbers is because they aren't true. and I'll tell you why. So, talking about Wuhan, um, I kind of lost myself on my script here, so I apologize. So I'm just gonna go off my own head here, and then I'll get back to the script. Wuhan has a certain amount of hospital beds, and to my knowledge, the hospital beds required to hold people far outnumbered the amount of outnumbered the amount of people infected at that time. So, from my understanding, what China told the world about the number of infections was way lower than what the number of infections that were happening in Wuhan alone. There are 11 million people in Wuhan, and it was the first city to be completely quarantined through draconian measures. At that time, there was a reported 14,000 infections worldwide. Obviously, much lower than what we would expect from a city of 11 million. Wuhan, having the most, stated that before their numbers were probably, as I stated before, the numbers were probably closer to 40 to 100,000 people. That's what I wrote on my Facebook page. The reason that there was such a large gap was to account for the possibility of being wrong. I'm not exactly still sure about those numbers, but you can imagine that those numbers are much higher now, being 30 days later. The number of deaths should also be questioned as well, because to my knowledge, China doesn't report COVID-19 deaths if the patient has pre-existing conditions. So if you go to the hospital and let's say you have some type of condition with like a kidney failure or something like that, you go there and you have also the coronavirus and you die, they will not label that as a coronavirus death. That is actually quite a big problem, is because that would be the leading cause to your death given your pre-existing conditions. Okay, another reason why this is another reason why influenza numbers in China are actually very low. If you look at the data, China has very low influenza numbers, and this is one of the reasons. It's because they do not report an influenza death if you have pre-existing conditions. Okay, I'm spending a lot of extra time on China to drill in the point that the number of COVID-19 infections are much higher than what the media can tell you, because they're only getting it from the source of China, and media has kind of that limitation. Now on to the rest of the world. I'm going to just kind of go through a list of things here and just follow along. So Japan, 200 cases, 3 deaths. Italy, 450 cases, 2 deaths. Iran, 142 cases, 22 deaths. That number is debatable. And keep in mind that everything actually keeps changing, so by the time this video goes up, it'll probably be higher than that. Singapore, 93 deaths, 93 cases, 0 deaths. That's actually pretty cool. Good job, Singapore. Hong Kong, 92 cases, 2 deaths. USA, we'll get to that later. Vietnam also has some problem. They say 16 deaths and 16 recoveries. 16 cases and 16 recoveries, no deaths. I do not believe that for a second. North America in general, 72 cases. South America, 1 case. Europe, 530 cases. Asia, 2,263. I'm not counting China. Africa, 2. Oceania, 22. Okay. With all that being said, I also want to address something. So we're going to move on from the worldwide stuff. I want to address something that's happening in the U.S. So one thing I want to just get across right now is that everyone should really be prepared. What I've been told from several people I've witnessed on the news is that Americans are apathetic and unprepared to deal with the situation. It seems to me that people are more concerned about the 2020 election. I don't know why you would at this point, but you're more concerned about the 2020 election than containing the virus. Based on the popular news headlines, usually COVID-19 is 4th or 5th article to read on the website, never the top. What is concerning is that it shows the attitude of the general public, the attitude of the general public towards something unknown, such as the coronavirus, which is bury your head, or being arrogant, saying things like, I lived through Ebola, I lived through swine flu, so this is probably not a big deal. Now, I have seen this meme going around with SpongeBob. I mean, it's kind of a funny meme, but it's kind of the wrong attitude, in my opinion. Uh, I like my memes, but that one, yeah, okay. So let's just say this. Let's say at the end, COVID-19 isn't as bad as we thought, or as bad as what I'm kind of projecting it to be. What about the next time? What if something worse comes and you maintain that same attitude? Okay? Something to think about, all right? So if you continue to have this type of attitude towards every sickness that comes around, you know, the one time that, you know, it was going to be really bad, you might regret that. So here's my advice. Be prepared. Stock up on necessary supplies within reason. Don't just blow through your grocery stores and make sure no one can get anything. Buy masks, buy med kits, medicine, non-perishable foods, and water to last you a couple weeks. Okay, those are all pretty easy things to get. Canned food, non-perishable things, even fermented food, all of it that can last longer than a couple weeks. We simply don't know what will happen, and that's the reason to do this. Also, don't regurgitate things that you hear on the media to downplay the situation or to use it as a political tool for the left or the right. This is just ridiculous. If you actually do that, yeah. Anyways, be cautious. Avoid public places as much as possible, and if you do go to a public place, wear a mask. All right. I don't get this point coming from people in the U.S. is that, you know, they kind of associate masks with Asia, and they think that that's just a weird thing to do and that it's not actually helping the situation at all. Okay, there is a fair point to where the effectiveness of a mask, but trust me, the main point of entry of the virus is, I should say, the main point of exit and entry of the virus is from the nose and mouth. So drop your pride and simply protect yourself and protect others. The mask is not only to protect you, but to protect other people. Wash your hands often, and especially wash when you come home. Okay, so when you're out and about and then you come home, I highly suggest you wash your hands. Avoid touching your face with your hands. Listen to the danger signs, such as South Korea. The situation here, as I said, should be a lesson to the rest of the world. It should show that what the virus is capable of in a short period of time. All right, I just wanted to get through this as quickly as possible. Okay, in conclusion, pay attention. If you have only consumed what the mainstream media has fed you, that's just not good enough. All right, do your research. Do it. Stop the politics. This is not a partisan problem. You would be really foolish to think that this is a partisan problem. Don't panic, though. Okay? I think this goes without saying, but there are multiple levels of fear. All right? And apathy and panic are the two levels of, the two on that spectrum that should not be appropriate. That is an incorrect response. It is okay to be cautious and not panic. Anyways. I hope this was useful to anyone watching. Depending on how things go, I might continue making updates on what's going on here. But in any case, I just hope that y'all are being safe, being healthy. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you all for watching this video. I hope, you take care. Okay. Bye-bye.